Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connecting with Kenzie yet again. I just wanted to, again, this channel is to share and just connect and have a place to belong and just feel that you can relate to anything and everything all at the same time and while still living like your most, genuine, authentic life. So again, mother of four, married to a wonderful husband partner, and I just gotta say, like, this last weekend was insane. I don't know if it's because like the holidays are around the corner or what is going on, but I am going to title this one the Sibling Spa. So stay with me on this. Um, it was like one thing after another, and it was big and beautiful. And so my kids before made this thing called the Sibling Cafe, which was adorable. I put it on my blog. I can repost it. And they made us a whole menu of like lunch menus and dinner menus, and they also put like sides on it, and then they also put like the drink order, and so it was like wine, water, coffee, and orange juice. I'm like, yeah, kid, this is awesome. So we entered into the sibling cafe, and long story short, my oldest whispered to my husband saying that don't tell mom, but we found a dead mouse in the basement about 20 minutes before you guys came down. And we still proceeded to eat because I had no idea. It was that gross and hilarious, but disgusting. So I will never go to the sibling cafe, at least in that restaurant again. So fast forward to this weekend, and like I said, it was absolutely busy. Again, I don't know if it's a holiday season, but it was like oof to oofties. And we planned our first gourmet, and I say that was love, our first gourmet dinner. We were invited by this lovely, lovely couple um, into this other group, and we just rounded out the fourth so we could have one every quarter, right? Which makes perfect sense. This is our first time hosting and our first time attending, and they call themselves the Gourmet Group. So when I was growing up, my parents hosted gourmet groups, and they were a part of one, and it was beautiful and it was ornate, and I remember them wearing costumes and just it's gourmet, right? So it's over the top, it's flamboyant, it's big, and it's amazing. And so I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to do this too. Totally not my style, but okay, let's do it. So when we were invited in, they're like, all right, Ken's, Matt, it's your turn. And we're like, sorry, what? So Matt and I, bless his heart, go into this huge, frenzy. It's like, yes, we can do it. We can, it's not a big deal. We know how to cook. And I would say bake, but I can't really bake. So Matthew, I go to my mom. I'm like, Catherine, what should I make? And she's like, ooh, gourmet. Okay, you can make this and you can make that, and this whole list of things. I'm like, nope, 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 can't make that, can't make this, don't even know how to pronounce that. So then I go to her and I'm like, you know what? I think I think that we're just gonna make chicken pot pies. She died. She absolutely died. It was amazing. And she's like, oh my God, her jaw dropped to the floor. No lie. And so I'm like, okay, Matt, we can do this. We need eight chicken pot, or excuse me, we're serving eight adults. And how many pot pies do we have to make? And so and how do we make it gourmet? So let me tell you. How to make anything gourmet, evidently, is to put it in like cute little individualized containers, crafts, thingamabobbers, you know what I'm talking about? We went on Amazon and bought like 32 different kinds, like no lie, because of the size and because of the color. Matt got out the calculator and he was like doing all these different measurements and literally got out the tape measure. And he's like, okay, Kens, you eat. I love his chicken pot pies. They're from his great grandmother's recipe. And he's like, you eat two pieces. I'm like, on a good night, probably three, but sure, we can just limit it to two. And so he's just like, if you eat two, And so I'm wondering how many other, pieces we'll eat. And then if you have this many inches and this surface area and everything like that, I'm like, it was like watching a beautiful mind on the chalkboard and everything. It was just wow. And so finally everything came in, and it was finally Friday night when we were hosting. We shipped the kids off with their nanny, and bless her heart, I know how lucky we are that she is able to do this for us. And we shipped him off, and I'm just like, okay, Matt, I'm here. What do you need? And so he actually came up with this idea. He's just like, well, because evidently before we host like a big gathering or anything, actually, we have to have the energy match the company. Stay with me. Meaning, like, I don't like this chair over here, or this wall on this pink, or this paint color on this wall. I'm just not feeling it. Let's just change it. No shit. This is what we do. So he found our Turkish lights that we used to have in our old house, because we got a new set. We have like 5 or 7 now lanterns, versus the other one was only 3. And he rewired it and put it by our front entryway. And so while all of this was happening, we had company coming over in like 3 hours. And so I'm like, okay, you're doing that. I know my husband's amazing and we're crazy. And he's like, I'm like, well, you're doing that. So I'll come over here and I'll make the innards. Granted, I make 97% of the meals in our family. He makes 3%, right? And one of them being the chicken pot pies. So I have no idea how to do it. And so he, bless his heart, had everything like laid out like to a T. And when I cook, not bake, but cook, I don't measure anything. So I'm just like, Matthew, how many sticks of butter is this? And he's like, 6. Everything is laid out perfectly. Just put it in the pot. I'm like, well, what if we add this? And what if we add that? He's like, oh my God, just stick to the recipe. Of course I didn't. Put everything in. It smelled amazing. We start getting ready, and then, it's like a Christmas thing, right? So then I grab my outfit, which just happened to be underneath the Christmas tree. It was a tree skirt. It was a Christmas tree skirt. It looked gorgeous. I'm like, if that thing's pretty enough to wrap around our tree, that thing's pretty enough to wrap around my waist. So I took it and I wrapped it around my waist, and it was just beautiful. I didn't have ornaments hanging from me from like my hair and everything. That was last year, but you still get the drift. So anyway, so people started coming over. We put them in individual little colander things. And then, but in the middle of that, it was just like, we didn't want the dough to get dry. And so I didn't have a spray can of water. So I took my fingers and I kind of just like went like that on the dough. He looked at it and he almost killed me. Like, no lie, he almost killed me, because it's like homemade dough. Okay, Bisquick, but whatever. Super laborious to do, I still think. He had to re-roll that dough out because it got too wet, and like, oh my God, awesome. And then he, like, bless his heart, like made those like little lattice poses, or like the lattice thingamabobbers, you know what I'm talking about, like on a trellis. And then he even cut out like Christmas trees, you guys, and put them on top. And so we took them out of the oven. It was beautiful. People came over and it went off without a hitch. No one was the wiser about all this other hoopla that went on beforehand, dust flying all over the place because of the, the light fixture, and which looked amazing. So then it was awesome. And then we went into the next day and we were hosting another thing. We were hosting my son's 6th birthday party and made homemade sloppy joes, chips, baked beans, the whole kit and caboodle. But that energy versus like Saturday's energy, just completely opposite. But still, we were hosting. So like our house was just wowza. And so then, okay, stay with me, I guess, again. And then Sunday, it was like, oh my God, we're all dead to the world. So my kids, you guys, and this is the whole point of this, my kids are amazing. They're like, Mom, Dad, we're going to give you a whole spa day. I'm like, excuse me, come again? And they're like, yeah, we're going to give you a whole spa day. And it's going to be awesome. Here's the menu. Here's what we're going to do. And we're going to cook you lunch. They were trying to make breakfast, but I intervened. And so like a few hours later when we got up, They had a little sign that said Sibling Spa with an arrow that said like this way to the bathroom, $2 per person, not per like treatment, which I'm like, it's a great deal. I got to sit on the toilet with a blanket and a pillow, and Matthew got to sit on this. Actually, he got the baby chair. And then, and it was like, they got buckets and they put hot water and they had extra buckets of hot water and put Epsom salt in there and like literally like with spoons put Epsom salts in it. And then they went and they like had a little thing of nail polish remover, and then they gave us face masks and massages and then feet massages and it painted our tootsie nails and our fingernails. Yeah, girl. I was so proud of Asha. Um, I'm not going to show you my feet. Those are just hilarious, by the way. And Matthew got a full treatment, and so like later that night, oh, and they had coffee and water. And later that night, I just like thanked him up and down. Roozy Doozy was being a little doozy, and so I'm just like, you guys, this is exactly what we needed. Thank you. And Asha and Viddy were just like, Mom, we know that you guys had just a lot of stuff going on over the weekend. And so like this is our way to just help you relax and like our way to contribute. And my heart melted. I was just blown away. I was absolutely floored. Roozy Doozy is 2.5 years, 2.5-year-old, 2.5 years old. See, ugh. And she is in this like oofta oofty phase. And I just feel bad for my other three kids. Yes, three, because it's just compounding, right? Where it's just like one thing after another. And then one child kind of creeps in and says, Mom. And then it's like the last straw that breaks the camel's back. And you're like, blah, and you do not mean to freak out on them. And, but it happens, you're human. And so like I went in there because I had that moment, later in the day on Sunday. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. This has nothing to do with you being self-aware, right? And coaching myself all the time. And like, this is what the root cause was. It was, lack of sleep. It was overwhelm. It was a busy weekend. And, all of these other things. And then Roozy Doozy just kept asking and asking. And she's in that phase where if I leave her alone for a hot second, she just starts freaking out. So, and the kids were just like, it's okay. We totally get it. This is why we did this spa. So I just want to invite all of you caretakers out there who are in it, right? And those of you who are not, come on in, join the fun, and just, come over to the Sibling Spa. You can get coffee or water. Next on the list, though, I am going to have them put mimosas, and I'm going to try to see if I can like teach them how to do it. I'm just afraid of opening a champagne bottle. So if you have any tips or tricks, let me know. And you'll get serenaded probably by a 2.5-year-old, either screaming or singing, telling you stories. It's actually plumb adorable. But, just hang in there. We're going to get through this. And again, if you guys need a good break, you know where to find me. I'll be in the kids' bathroom in the Sibling Spa. It's $2, you guys. Again, it's quite a deal. Come join me.